What's good, everybody? It's your boy JB Nine Dukes, represent JB Speakeasy, the black platform where black men speak freely. Once again, I am your host. Once again, guys, thank you once again for joining me on my show. I know this is a lot later than I usually do it. It's almost close to 3. I usually do it at 2:30 in the afternoon, but I mean, she's 12:30 in the afternoon. But today I'm starting because I'm off from work and I'm feeling a little excited about the subject that I decided to go ahead and do a later show. I have all my things that I got in order around me, my drinks and everything, my food and everything is okay. So everything's taken care of. But anyway, today we're gonna go back into a part two of what I was covering last week. Part two. Let's get this camera back on. Part two was talking about. Part one was talking about the who was more right as far as getting advancements for Black people. Was it Martin or Malcolm? Now we're getting into. I'm going into the past. Tomorrow, I'll be having some of the older people in my generation come on, older people in my family and older people at the church and people that I know that can come on and talk about civil rights and what they actually experienced, because there's still some people that are around that can still remember those times. And I'll tell you what, ladies and gentlemen, we got a lot good as Black people today than what they had. Yes, we have racism. Yes, we have problems. But until you went through being dragged out of your house or dragged up the street, tied to a back of a pickup truck and barely survive, then I think we should barely be very grateful we have. But anyway, there's a group called the Roger Report. Shout out to Roger Report, and of course, excuse me, something called fair use. I have to say the word fair use because fair use means that it keeps me from being sued or YouTube from knocking my page down. And I've been going through, for some reason, there's all this, I don't know what's going on with my Facebook and YouTube, to where they're like removing my shows and stuff to where people can't see them. They're even blocking some of the links. So I don't know. So I got to be careful in what I say. But however, I'm still proud of what I say. Now we're gonna watch a show called "Laws Are Really for Black Men," in which that there was a group of Black men I listened to. Shout out to Rise Report. Have much love and respect for this brother. I came on the show a couple of times. I don't know if you remember. If you see the show, shout out to you, Roger. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to come on your show, and I love you to come on mine. But right now, we're about to get into an old show you did about a year ago called "Laws Are for Black Men," in which they were speaking on civil rights, and Roger made an outlandish claim where he said that Dr. Martin Luther King didn't get nothing accomplished. I'll repeat that for those that need to hear in the back and people that are clutching their pearls. He said that Martin Luther King did not do anything. Now, people may not agree with Martin's philosophy, like I said in the last show, but however, that does not mean that he did not contribute things to help out Black people. But anyway, I'm gonna let them get into it and see what you guys like to think about it. Hold on, this is Roger Report, and you're gonna have the OG come in. Shout out to this OG called BGS. I may not agree with everything he says, especially when it comes to Christianity, but when it comes down to this pro-Black thing and what happened with civil rights and people that was for affirmative action on things like my father and them was back in the day, he is the G for it. So okay, go ahead, let's listen to him. Yep, he's the A1. Let's play it.
And what's good for us. And I don't think I'm gonna say differently. Black wealth and power. Black men are the Black community. The, one of the main problems Black men have is we consider the women as part of the community. The only woman who's part of the community is the women we say so. So if a man ain't married to you or he's willing to vouch for you because he in some form of relationship, you're not a part of the community. Black men got to let go of the thought process that women are a part of our community just because they're Black. No, you're not a part of the community because we're Black. You have to be qualified into the community. You have to have the respectable men of the community say you one of us. So you good until you at your daddy's house. Once you leave your daddy's house, I don't know what you is at that particular point. You got to show me that you part of the Black community.
Okay, wait,
If
wait,
you ain't
real
gonna
quick,
show,
guys, real
I
quick.
don't see you. And it's that simple to me. So we gotta start.
Real quick before people get mad, hold on, guys. I'm sorry. This young man that I'm listening to, sometimes he digresses on his show a little bit, and they were talking about in that time context, we're talking about the Black community, but I want to actually talk about the civil rights. Hold on, just a second, guys. I'm trying to find it. Hold on, just a second, guys. Okay, sorry about that, guys. Sorry about that, ladies. That was Roger report. He was going in on what he believed the black community is. I believe black men and black women make up the community, but since black men are the leaders, then we are definitely the biggest force of the community. But anyway, we're about to get into a man called Jesse Ville. Jesse Ville is about to say what I would have said, and then following him is BGS. They both actually clarify what I meant. Let me get this camera. We'll clarify what I meant. Anytime you guys see me go off camera, that's because I'm trying to set up because on this switch called StreamYard, there's something that has a present button, and sometimes with present it can conflict with the camera. Just letting you guys know so you can bear with me. But anyway, a man named Jesse Ville, Ivy League man, you see right there, sharp looking brother, got a fresh suit. I respect them brothers looking sharp with the suit, brothers sharp with the suit. But anyway, him, then BGS. I want y'all to stick through so you can hear BGS. Here we go. Here's Jesse Ville, Ivy Leaguer. He's about to get pushback that Dr. King didn't do anything, but he's actually about to list off the things that black people did. And he's speaking on behalf of OGs, like I speak on behalf of OGs when I had this talk with my homies when they're going off the rails about civil rights and Dr. King did not do anything. And that's ridiculous. But here we go. Let's do it.
Peace, brother. Thanks for having me on as always. Say, I had to come up here, man, and give a little pushback to that civil rights stuff, man. I hate to do. I thought an elder was gonna come up here. He might be asleep right now, so I'll go ahead and give a little pushback. So this is the thing, right? The civil rights thing was a total community movement, an initiative by. It wasn't just working class black people. It wasn't just blue collar black people. It was a total community effort. And Martin Luther King just happened to be the figurehead. He was I guess, the king of kings or the leader of leaders, because they did have a total senior leadership body behind him that elected him into that position, where you had several reverends and business people and stuff like that. What a lot of people don't know, there you go. What a lot of people don't know is that a lot of black businessmen, even though they didn't fully agree with what Dr. King was doing, they actually supported them in many ways, not only financially with donations, but when Martin Luther King, these people went to these towns to demonstrate, where do you think they were staying? They were staying in these black-owned hotels in a lot of these cities. And so that's one thing. Another thing is,
Okay, guys, let's look at what that this brother Jesse just said. Like he just said what I said. If you guys remember a few minutes ago, I said that Dr. King was actually one of the figureheads of the movement. He couldn't have got it done by himself. However, I would never be as arrogant, especially as somebody that wasn't there, to say that what he didn't do anything and didn't benefit us at all. I completely disagree with that notion, and mostly for the fact of what Jesse just said. Even though there was people that were black people who disagree with him, they still stood by him because of what? The sake of unity. It's the one thing we don't have in our community anymore that hurts us more than anything else is the lack of unity. In fact, let's use, since Dr. King was a Christian, I use a scripture, one of my favorite scriptures by Jesus Christ. And I know Martin Luther King followed Jesus Christ because he was a Christian. Jesus Christ said, every kingdom divided amongst itself is brought to desolation. And a house divided against a house falls. Even if Satan was divided amongst himself, how could his kingdom stand? Let's look at that statement. The one thing that black people don't have is unity. So, like just like Jesus said, excuse me, guys. Let's just say our race was a kingdom, right? What did Jesus just say? He said every kingdom divided amongst itself. Black people are divided today, even though they had some division back in the day, like the whole Martin and Malcolm thing. They still had a lot of unity, as you just said that, like how you just heard Brother Jesse say that. There was, even though there were some people who disagree with Martin on the nonviolent philosophy, which is really kind of disagreeing with Christianity because that's where Martin got it from. But that's a whole nother story. Just like Malcolm got his ideas from Muslims, and that's kind of the opposite of Christianity. So there's a much deeper root to this, but I don't want to digress too much. So I'm gonna just stick to the points that I know I'm right on, which is the fact that even though I'm right on those two, but I'm just gonna concentrate on this. When Jesus said every king divided amongst itself is brought to desolation, and a house divides against a house falls, that means anything that isn't as one with multiple people in it, what will fall and crumble. Then Jesus even said, even if Satan was divided amongst himself, how could his kingdom stand? So I could add that to the white men, since they want to call Muslims want to call the white men devils. Well, let's look at it like this. if white men were the devils, hypothetically, I'm not calling all white people devils. I'm just saying for the rich white, those racist ones, if they were compared to Satan, Jesus even said, how could Satan keep his kingdom together if he wasn't what? Unified. So what did the white people have that black people don't is unification. So that applies to what Jesus' message even said. Like even if Satan was divided amongst himself, how could his kingdom stand? How could white people's kingdom stand unless they were divided? So if we didn't take anything else from white people, talking about all this white ice and all that BS, we should have took from the idea of unity. But black people had some idea of it then, they have no idea of it now. But we're going to get back into Brother Jesse. Then I want y'all to listen to Brother BGS. He reminds me a lot of my father, my uncles, and my grandfather who used to tell me these stories about civil rights. So please hold on and let them talk. All right, here we go. Let them talk.
It's the whole civil rights issue, right? People have a short memory. When you go back and you listen and you read these biographies of black people that lived in the era before black people had civil rights, when you go and read these narratives and stuff, like before we were able to have civil rights, life for black people was hell, man. I mean, you literally had situations where a white guy can come into a black community, go into a black woman's house, rape her, get her pregnant, and not shit would happen to this dude. You had situations where a white dude can go to an old black man, right? An old black man, he didn't work hard all his life. The black man, maybe he has a farm and he has a couple mules in a shack that he live in.
Okay, I hate to keep stopping it, but I had to speak on this because this hit close to home because my grandfather had a farm. And my uncle, my father, and uncle, because see, my father was born in 1954. Dad, forgive me, but I gotta tell them the truth. The truth, if you raised me, tell the truth. I'm gonna tell the truth. He grew up during the Jim Crow South, and most black people, how they got work was through farming. There's something called sharecropping, the next thing closest to slavery. Some people inherited property from doing that. Let's just say there was a white person with no children or something that was cool. You know what I'm saying? May have called, may have mistreated you a little bit, but actually thought, reconcile for their wrongs, will give black people land. But outside of that, like you said, there'll be white people that will say to the other white person, why you give this nigga land? You know what I'm saying? Then they'll come and try to burn the land down. So that's very true. And my family was blessed to where we were so far off in the country that wasn't a disadvantage that we had, but it by the grace of God, which is why I praise God, we could have been one of those, but we weren't. But I just want to say that he's absolutely right on that. That white people will try to burn our land. There's no need to bring up Tulsa, Oklahoma. We already know that. In black cities. And as for black people in California, we always want to talk about Tulsa, Oklahoma. Y'all want to talk about black cities? Let me give you a black city and some history. You can look up. There was a park that was given in the memorial of a man named Colonel Allensworth. A man named Colonel Allensworth. It's right here in California. It was a black town that was torn to pieces by white people's hatred. So before we even go about Tulsa, let's start right here at home. I'm in California. I was talking about my family down there in Mississippi. You feel me? But let's talk about right here in California. We had Colonel Allensworth Park, which is a black city that was destroyed. First of all, Colonel Allensworth was murdered by a motorcyclist who wanted to kill him, who's for him establishing his own city. Then they ended up destroying the town. I don't think they burned it down, but they did some other foul stuff because there was some evil people back then. There was some white people that was pretty bad. Not all, because I have friends that is black people. I mean white people, but you gotta understand they know some of what my ancestors did was wrong. But anyway, here we go. I'm gonna get back into the back in the show. Here we go.
And a white man will go and threaten this old black man and say, give me all of your property, your music. I want you to sign that shit over to me right now. I'm gonna blow your fucking brains out, nigga. This is the type of shit that you had going on prior to civil rights. Yes, we did have a small, maybe 1% group of black people, successful business people that created Black Wall Street and stuff like that. But you have to realize throughout history, because listen, man, on my mom's side, we come from free people of color, right? So my mom's dad, my mom's dad his people were never enslaved, but my mom's mom did come from slavery. But during slavery, you actually had free people of color that were doing their thing. Like, to be honest with you, like if you go back and read, like you have free people of color that were in the politics, that had these successful businesses. So you always had a small amount of free people, a small amount of black people that were successful, while the majority of black people were suffering. As a matter of fact, I just found W.E.B. Du Bois audio book that I didn't know that he recorded the album back in the day, where he's talking about that the reason they discovered that white people were sending black people to Africa, you know, the whole Liberia and stuff like that, is because that they found that the white people were actually trying to get rid of the intellectual class and the business class of black people in America, so that it can only be a lower working class, like wage slave people that were left in America. They were trying to get rid of the educators, the intellectuals, the business people, and ship them off to Africa so they can just use the poor black.
And by using, and excuse me, and by using his logic, remember Dr. Martin Luther King, since we want to say he did nothing, remember they said they were trying to remove the intellectuals of us all. Remember Dr. King was a graduate, I forget, from Harvard or one of those, but he was doctor for a reason. He got a doctorate, which is a PhD, during a time where black people weren't allowed to even get these things unless they was what? Blessed by the hand of God. Plus, for you to get a PhD at the time, that was hard for a black person to do that. So by his logic, how can we say that Dr. King didn't do anything when by his logic he was saying that they tried to get rid of the intellectuals? If you say get rid of, that means to remove, jail, or even kill them. And what happened to Dr. King, guys? What happened to Dr. King? I'm listening. All these people that want to talk this BS about Dr. King to do nothing, my question to you is, if they were trying to get rid of the intellectuals, Dr. King proved to be an intellectual with his PhD, which is why he was called a doctor. So why did they want to get it? They want to get rid of the intelligent. So why? Did he do anything? Come on, guys. Y'all saying he didn't do anything, but by his logic, he said they tried to get rid of the intellectuals. If that was true, then they proved that case with Dr. King, who we said he did not do anything. But anyway, let's get back to his monologue. I like to hear him. Then I want y'all to hear BGS, because BGS killed it. Now I'm gonna be quiet for a while, but let BGS speak after this. Okay, go ahead.
Black people for labor. And one last thing I want to say was, sure, I forgot that last point, but I'll let somebody else go. I just wanted to push back on that whole civil rights thing a little bit.
All right. Well, we got BGS here, which I knew that's what he was talking about. He gets the privilege. So after BGS, we bring in AL.
Ladies and
Yeah,
gentlemen,
I'm going to say
BGS,
this, man.
ladies and
I'm going to say
gentlemen.
this to Roger and all the people.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is BGS. I hate to cut them off, but everybody pay attention to them. This is BGS. Everybody pay attention to what BGS is about to say. Then I'm going to have people come on. Listen to what BGS says. Here we go, y'all. Let's do it. Let's do it. That's how serious I am. I have to say it again. Let's do it. That's how serious I am. Let's do it. Go ahead, BGS. Kill him. Kill him. Kill him. Get him off. Get off your shit. Then BGS. Kill him. Excuse me, our language. But get them. Kill him, BGS. Kill him. Here we go.
That says civil rights bullshit. If you don't want them, you think black folks are better off without civil rights and all the stuff that we've acquired since 1945, just give them back. You know, your ability to get loans, the ability to get educated, your ability to walk down the streets without cops and white folks shooting at you and stuff like that, which is called civil rights, which is what Du Bois was saying. Okay, economic rights means shit without civil rights, because what's it, the Atlanta Compromise? Well, we're going to work our way out of it, work our way into equality with white folks. That's how come you got Black Wall Street. Black Wall Street had economic rights, because it's what it didn't have. Civil rights. You don't have civil rights, guess what's going to happen to your goddamn towns?
They'll be taken
burned down.
We're gonna burn down.
You remember the race riots? You wouldn't be, what didn't used to be black folks doing their things. White folks coming into your town, your side of town, and killing you. Remember St. Louis race riots? It wasn't black on white; it was white on black, killing you. If you guys really want to go back to that, you know, I'll welcome it. You know, the thing that brought tears in my eyes when they talk about Emmett Till. Okay. The thing is, and this is something Stacey Patton brought out maybe a couple years ago, right? It wasn't the fact that they dug Emmett Till's body out of that river. It's they found 8 motherfucking bodies before they found him. the little black boys have been thrown in that goddamn river. 8 bodies before they even got to him. Okay, that was 1955. Okay, if you want to go back to that, God bless you. I'm gonna get on my plane. I'm going someplace else because you can have it. The thing is that
And need to arrest that old,
Sab, can I
bitch.
finish?
Okay.
Can I finish? Now, if you know more than me, man, you can speak up. Because I trust and believe my mother's still alive. She lived under fucking Jim Crow in fucking Louisiana, picking goddamn cotton and cutting sugar cane, right? Guess what she'll tell you? She is not gonna give them back up.
So
She's
my
not going
grandfather.
back to the goddamn
So my
promise and
grandfather.
the shit that she used to do. She'll tell me that from the very beginning. And she tells my grandson every day, her great grandson every day, you are blessed to live in this town and have these kind of privileges to where you can be able to do anything, because that was not the case before 1945. You had the thing is that in 1920, when the black servicemen came back in 1919, back from fighting in World War I with their guns and their ability, they start hanging them in their goddamn uniforms, right? Okay, 20 some odd years later, black GIs come back from World War II. Guess what happened? The same goddamn thing was happening. They went to Eisenhower and said, look, we're not standing for this shit no more. We fought for you. We keep fighting for you guys. Come back, and the same shit happens. We got to come back to this racist ass country where we can't even walk the streets in a uniform without being hung, without being pulled off the goddamn bus, and have motherfucking black GIs in World War II getting off the bus in their hometown and getting snatched off the bus and getting hung. Is that what you really want to go back to? I'm asking you. Is that what you want to go back to? If you want to go back to, because right now, all these affirmative action deals that they sign, go through the Kerner Commission report, because we just spent, me and Art spent 2 months going through the Kerner Commission, where all your affirmative action laws came from, including the rights to live where you want, including the rights to actually get a mortgage on the goddamn house. But before that, you didn't have that right. You couldn't have no black banks. You couldn't get a mortgage on your house. The redlining was so abusive, you couldn't get out of your little circle. Okay, those rights came in 1968 after Martin Luther King was killed. Okay, that's when they started.
Well, let's say that I'm not opposed to the civil rights. I actually applaud civil rights. My only qualm with it is I think that the civil rights was just step one, and we should have continued the momentum. But for some reason, once we had the civil rights pass,
how old are you? How old are you?
Oh, I'm 32.
So how come you haven't done anything? Step 2, step 3, whatever. How come? You said, oh, you thought that old black men like me supposed to keep doing it, and you're not supposed to pick up the ball? Oh, we supposed to just, you know what?
I do
pat
agree.
You on the head. There. We're gonna give you a juice. We're gonna give you a juice pack and a bag lunch, and you go out there, Sonny. Okay? No, you got to pick it up.
It's not about doing something about it. It's about, like, for one, our education system doesn't really.
What are you doing about it?
So black people actually really got to start educating themselves versus relying on that system. It's going to always be.
That's what's happening right now. When they walk in, when they BGS, honestly, I've become exhausted by this particular debate with younger black men.
Mm-hmm.
I've got to the point of becoming disgusted by their perspective on this issue. That's why I didn't say anything earlier when they were saying these things, because we've had this debate before, right? Numerous times.
Yeah.
And we're like trapped in some kind of weird.
And I agree with you, BGS. I have the same conversation with people my age. Let me put the camera back on. I have the same conversations with people my age group, and they say the same ignorant stuff that, like, oh, civil rights was bad. We should say segregated. What they don't understand was with segregation came a certain level of low class poverty, because we're considered as black people underclass. But right now, if we don't get it together, we'll be part of what even Dr. What's his name? I know his name. Dr. Claude Anderson, there we go. He just mentioned it. Dr. Claude Anderson said, if we don't get together as black people, we'll be a permanent underclass. Permanent underclass meaning that us as black people start to believe being underclass is where we belong, while then yelling that we deserve more. Excuse me. And if you pay attention to this day, that's exactly what's going on. Excuse me, guys. I just get excited about these, and sometimes I talk ahead of myself, but this is exactly what he's talking about. You have to understand that becoming a permanent underclass means understanding that we believe as a people It's a mentality where we believe as a people that all we do is deserve less, and I believe we deserve more. And I thought we all agreed on that. Well, if that is the case, then we need to have this conversation from an honest point of view. What those brothers fought for back in the day is why we get to sit on a white platform and talk shit to white people like we under. Excuse me, guys. I'm sorry. I don't mean to cuss, but this gets me passionate. What you see is the passion of my grandfather, Robert Brown Sr. What you see is the passion of Robert Brown Jr., my uncle. What you see is the passion of my uncles that fought in Vietnam. This is the passion of the black people who fought for us to talk the crap that we talk today. So excuse me, guys, but I had to show you that. I'm sorry for this passion, but you guys have to hear it. Here we go. I'm gonna let BGS get back. You guys see where I want to BGS going? You see? So I'm gonna let BGS talk. Go ahead, BGS.
Weird sort of loop where people get to either be ignorant of history
Black Rule, guys.
or ignore
this
it.
young man named Black Rule.
And you would always
they rewrite history. They rewrite.
Black Rule and BGS are going back and forth talking about, because they both are 50 plus, so they lived through civil rights. So I want them to speak. I'm sorry. This last time I'm going to interrupt for a while, probably another good 10 minutes. Here we go. Let them talk. All right, BGS, Black Rule, go at it. No, not go at it, but correct us as young people. Go ahead. I respect it. 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 Because this is, I know you guys said why you say that so many times so people can understand the emphasis on what I'm saying. These brothers are saying is absolutely right, and we need to take lessons as young people before we start talking our BS. All right, go. All right, go ahead.
Rewrite history, and there's a lot of black folks out there helping to rewrite history. There's a whole freaking page book called the Kerner Commission Report, where all of your affirmative action laws came from. All of them. Go read it. See why you think black boomers in 1967, 1968 burned down 40 towns. You think they were doing that because they liked their lives? Is that what you think? You think they like their lives? So after they get all these changes, you get all these programs, you get all these training programs and stuff like for black folks. Oh, now okay, well, this stuff just came out of nowhere. We didn't even need civil rights and all the stuff that was done before.
No, hold on, that. Hold on, that, because I don't think nobody has an issue with civil rights. Like what I'm saying about civil rights, this is just what I believe is a plain fact.
Okay.
I'm glad black people fought civil rights. What I'm saying is, I believe, I believe the reason civil rights were granted was more of an economical issue, and all that stuff around Dr. Martin Luther King, which I respect the fact that he did it, and those who helped him. I think because of they basically want to destroy the black economy, and that was a good way for them.
No, there was no black economy. What are you talking about? There's no black economy. There's only one economy.
What? Yeah, I'm saying
you really wanted to harp. No, number one, I wish you guys would just read and not just read black books. Read economic books. You know why? What happened to the black economy? Really want to know what it was? Know what happened to the black economy? It's called farming machines. Okay, what did black folks do? Is a basic economy before 1950?
They farmed.
They farmed.
Farming, agricultural.
So the vast majority of people farms. What happens when you bring in machines?
You start replacing the people.
You don't need as many.
Start replacing the people. So what happened to the people when the machines come?
A lot of them had to go elsewhere to find some type of economic viability. A lot of them cities.
And what is the country? What is society's role when they start displacing people?
To help create business.
There was white folk. Okay, the reason you had Jim Crow in the first goddamn place is because they needed you on the labor, because 70% of the GDP prior to the Civil War was through slavery. Come from the South. South generated 70% of your income. So guess what? If 70% of your GDP prior to the Civil War is from the South and folks on the land doing the goddamn job, my man is in the military, right? Okay. Do you think a war is just going to change your economy overnight?
No, you
No.
still got to figure out how to.
In other words, it's 70% of your GDP. You just freed your labor force, and they can walk away. Guess what you need to do after during Reconstruction? That's why they call it Reconstruction. Reconstruction is because they had to rebuild the South. Because guess where the money was made? That's like spend another 100 years in Jim Crow.
Yeah.
Because you made money, and the reason they let you go is because they didn't need you on the land anymore, but they have something to do with you.
I mean, I understand and I agree with that type of stuff. That's why, in my perspective, it's not about what they did. I'm not saying black people did anything wrong, but they didn't play the best card they could. I'm saying the reason white folks granted them what they granted them was simply because of economic issues. That's what I'm saying. You know what I'm saying?
So in other words, so you keep saying they destroyed the black economy. Where?
Well, no, what I'm saying is when stuff was segregated and black people was pulling their money together and having things for themselves, that was one of the ways to get the money out of black people's hands because they had to work together because of segregation.
Explain it to me and show me where that was.
Well, I'm saying that when black people had they couldn't.
Y'all see what I mean about BGS?
Therefore, you had.
See what I mean about BGS? I'm gonna stop.
Businesses that got.
Y'all see what I mean about BGS? Let him go in, cause he sound like my granddad, my grandfather, my father, and my uncles. Let's do it. He sound like the older black man in my family. Let's do it.
Okay, you were segregated.
Let me ask you this question, Roger. Do Jewish people only sell to Jewish people?
No, you sell to anybody.
Do Korean people only sell to Korean people?
No.
Do I don't know, even Islamic people in America only sell to Islamic people?
No.
Well, how do you think a black community was going to sustain itself and grow, excelling in marketing exclusively to black people?
I'm not saying it was going to be able to do that.
So when you talk about this notion of black people having this so-called strong economy because we were segregated, that's not economically possible. The only way you can grow any economic system is being able to bring resources from out of the system. So if we're entirely segregated racially, how is our community going to build itself and grow and sustain itself?
I don't know how well the community would have been able to do. I'm not saying it was going to be able to thrive. You know what I'm saying?
But yet you're championing this notion of this exclusive black economy.
Well, now you know there was always independence, right?
That's what you repeatedly asserted. And I don't see Jews making movies just for Jewish people. I don't see that happening. I don't see the Chinese people just selling Chinese food to Chinese people. That's not what I see happening. In fact, in many communities, most of their customers are Negroes very often.
Yeah.
In the same thing, when you go to all the stores, the local stores in black communities that are owned by these Arabs or Islamic people, and all of their customers are Negroes. So this notion that you're going to have this racial segregation of an economy and that it's going to build itself and maintain itself into any sort of competitive way, that's just not economically viable. Nowhere is that economically viable.
I'm not saying that they were going to be competitive. What I'm saying is they wanted to get black dollars out of black hands, so therefore they allow black people to shop elsewhere. That's all I'm saying.
But the flip side of that is the opportunity for black people to get their hands on their dog. That's the other side of that.
So wait a minute. So you think the civil rights was all about black people shopping someplace else? Is that what you're saying?
I think that's the one of the main reasons granted civil rights, so they can take those dollars and shop.
Okay. Where is that written?
I'm not saying it's written anywhere, but white people weren't gonna come shop with black folks anyway.
They didn't want you in the area, Roger. That's what segregation is about. They didn't want you in their area. They were forced to allow you in their area.
Can I pose a question here?
Go ahead.
Can I pose a question here? Is that so? I agree with the civil rights movement and what it accomplished, But do you think at some point it was co-opted and redirected into a way that it worked to black people's disadvantage?
The way, and we you know, I mean, how many times have we done this and talked about this, and then basically,
You know,
in other words, the way the wealth gap was created is because they wrote white women, and we've been talking
there
about this
you
for the
go.
last 3-4 years, right?
There you
I
go.
talked about this 8 years ago. I actually did this on my MGTOW channel back in 2015 called Feminize America. They actually wrote white women into the Civil Rights Bill and made them a minority. So in other words,
That's where it failed.
that's where it failed.
Mm-hmm.
That's where it failed. In other words, the jobs that needed to give you, that's what Moynihan said the same thing. The Kerner Commission said the same.
All right, guys, let's pause right there because I know I've been gone for a minute. But let's concentrate on this thing called first of all, the Kerner Commission report, in which where all your black civil rights actually come from, at least your affirmative action part of your civil, because civil rights was a big algorithm of laws more than the people like to give it credit for. But I like to actually speak on this particular book called the Moynihan Report. Since I've been researching this black history, one of the most influential books is about maybe 100, 120 pages, the Moynihan Report. And it has a lot of great information that people my age should look into before they talk all this crap about Jim Crow, even go back to slavery. Moynihan was a white man that wrote a book talking to black people about black problems and trying to emphasize to us the exact problem that other whites like himself were trying to do and the effects that it would have that we didn't see then, but we see today about what happens when we don't manage civil rights. And what people like how how BGS and Black Guru said, one of the things that planted and absorbed, abdicated the power of the civil rights was when we allowed white women to start the feminist movement. Because what you have to understand about the feminist movement, women think it's all about women's rights. But when you did women's rights, it intervened with the civil rights because women's rights became a part of civil rights. And when it became part of civil rights, they absorbed all the power that was abdicated or was supposed to be abdicated from the main white system to going towards blacks. That is, feminism absorbed and abdicated absorbed and then took the power that's supposed to be abdicated to blacks and start giving it to white women. And then when black women, because we were a small movement, but when black women who were supposed to be a part of the civil rights movement start to help the feminist movement get numbers, that's when it absorbed civil rights. And that, in my opinion, like not in my opinion, this is fact according to what two people that lived there. And remember, BGS studies economics. He has books. That's why he keeps saying, "Did you read it? Did you read it? Did you read?" He's saying that for a reason. Did you read it? Did you read it? That's his whole thing. Is did you read everything he read up on? Like when he talked about the Kerner Commission report, I looked into that. That's an 800-page book. I didn't even get through all of it. I'm not gonna lie. But what I have read shows a lot of what he said to be true, which actually affects us how we live today, especially how feminism has tainted the black community. But anyway, that's another point. I'm gonna let him talk about it because remember, he always says read, 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 read. I keep saying it because even when I started to read, I started learning stuff I didn't know. So here we go. Back to Black Guru and them, but make sure, guys, you read, read, read. All right, here we go. Read, read, read.
Same thing. And white women were not interested in civil rights or getting civil rights until the economics tied to it. Okay, when they had to train men, train black men, train black boys to actually have jobs either close to equal to white men, that's when women wanted to come in, and that's where really the feminist movement actually started in 1972 with Title IX, when they wrote sex into the Civil Rights Bill.
And that also led to the direct breakdown between black men and black women, because that inherently made them our competitors.
Yes,
inherently.
And guess what? They're still on that.
So Roger, you actually reminded me that last thing that I was going to say in regards to the your theory about the economics, and the reason why I would say that civil rights wasn't a plan to sabotage black businesses or take the dollars out is because when you really look at it, white businessmen didn't want to serve black people anyway. I mean, in those times, and the reason why One of the reasons why you know that's true, because if you look at it, even today, you have white business people that don't want to serve black customers. You have today where there's discrimination lawsuits being filed against these white businesses. And I come from New Orleans, man. You know, I'm from New Orleans, right? We've always been a majority black city for at least the past 60 plus years. And even in New Orleans, that's 62% black at a certain point, 63% black at a certain point, like 22% white or something like that. You still have little like spurts of racist white business people coming in our area. So would they do it?
I mean, I remember when I would take road trips with my uncles coming up, and there would definitely be, well, we can't stop at this, you know, going to California, for example. We can't stop at this motel, man.
I know.
I mean, I remember that very indelibly. No, we can't stop there. Hopefully we got enough gas to make it to the next town.
I'm wondering, what history do you guys actually read?
I don't. That's why it's a source of great frustration to me. Where do you guys get this from? I'm often wondering what world did they actually see, because it's not the world I saw.
The problem is, it's not. It's the history that's told in school, and you're not gonna get that in the school history. I mean.
Okay, guys, that goes back to a point I wanted to make. Remember what I was saying earlier. Remember what Black Guru asked. He said it's a great point of frustration for us. And as a black man, I know it's a frustration for me as a young black male, because I'm thinking to myself, what history are you guys reading? I've read some in history, and I found what they said was absolutely true. There was somebody in here watching a minute ago. I would like for you to come up. I'll put the link in the Facebook comment section. If you guys want to come up, I'll put the link in the Facebook comment section. I would like people in my age group to come up so we can have this discussion from a point of view of people that actually were there. BGS is like 60 years old, like up there in the 60s with my parents. So is the Black Guru in their 60s. I think, don't quote me on this, but I believe I believe BGS is in his early 60s. I know he's in his 60s. I want to say 63. That's why I didn't want you to quote me on. But I believe in his 60s, and Black Guru is about 61, 62, and my parents are 69. So you see how I got the black history, and I got it from the official point of view. But anyway, I'm gonna shut up and I'm gonna let them go back into it. All right, let's do it.
I mean, I had to go.
Well, no,
find a certain.
We learned this. We learned these at these those daytime movies, like MLK movies that came on CBS back in the day. We learned that shit from like the Mega Ever story and all of that.
But you have to go to those.
When you really get into business, like I hate when we talk about the black economy, because the black economy doesn't matter now. The game is global, right? You like right now, I sell in China, Panama, Philippines, Indonesia, and Japan, right? The game is global. I'm sitting in Shanghai, but I'm selling and doing 3PL. My products are in a logistics, and it gets shipped all those different countries. The world, white people in the world ain't worried about the black economy. Only 13% of us in America. And on top of that, now everything is global with logistics, 3PL systems, and things like that. You got white kids right now doing drop shipping, right? Getting shit from Vietnam and selling it in Canada and Australia. You got one white boy on YouTube right now worth $250 million because he's selling all over the world. People are not thinking about black people right now. They're just not.
Yeah, I was gonna say before we shift.
You think black people need to get on board with that, right?
Should have been, man. I don't know how long.
Black people are already get on board. I've been drop shipping since 2010.
Not enough. Not enough.
Let me just say this real quick before y'all shift to another conversation.
I need to get these super chats too. And what? Go ahead and say what you want to say, because I want to say something.
Now, I was just gonna say real quick on a point of white people not really worrying about black dollars, right? So the way they do it now, it's a lot more slick now. So if you go to black cities, like I think probably Atlanta is the only city that I don't really see this in. But most black cities you get businesses owned by white people and other non-black people. They may service black people, but look look at the managers are in their businesses, right?
Mm.
So you have the black people that if they are working in a business, they're going to be the ground level position. Like even maybe like 10 years ago, I was working at this spot, and all of the managers, it was like upscale movie theater they had a chef there as well, so you could have alcohol and stuff. All of the managers were white, all of the managers, until me and my partner got there, right? Which my one of friends wound up becoming the only black manager. But all of the other ground level stuff was all, it was some white people and black people, but even with the waiter position, right? You had all of the waiters were white, right? Until my boy became the manager, he started putting some black people into the waiter position. But that's just a microcosm. Even in major black cities, you have those type of things going on. You see what I'm saying? But go ahead, Roger.
Yeah, well, I'm gonna say, based on what I know about America, the decisions are made from financial perspectives.
Yeah,
Again,
you have the ultra capitalists that will accept black dollars, but then you also have, I mean, look, there's people called ultra capitalists that take money from anywhere. They don't give a damn. But then you also have a lot of businessmen in the South that are more
but
nationalist, race
I'm
based.
talking about America as a whole. Sure, you always gonna have some
Every,
white guy
every,
who's gonna say,
Okay,
the,
but
the, the
Roger,
whole
there
the whole
there are
world
literally
operates that way. The whole world
but
operates
there
that
are
way.
literally books written
Yeah.
in this country about white people voting against their own best interest.
Okay, guys, I just want to let you guys get a little excerpt from the panel I did with Roger Report and all the panels together. So shout out to BGS. First of all, fair use for the laws were created for black men. Fair use for the laws were created for black men. Not gonna be in here for too long. In fact, I'm about to wrap up. You guys have a good day, but I would like to leave you with this. Before you try to talk about what Dr. King and them didn't do, as you see, there's a lot of things that we say, and I want to really get y'all to understand. There's a lot of things we say as believers, or as excuse me, as people who talk about black people, where what the people in the past did and didn't do. They fought a lot harder than what we fought for. They fought for things that we didn't even know about. The Kerner Commission report with the affirmative action. And remember, for black people that weren't paying attention, they just canceled affirmative action. So they went back on an 800-page book called the Kerner Commission report. They went back on it. So for something that's been around for 50, 60 years, they've gotten rid of it, and black people don't even know. I like to talk about Dr. King to do anything, but he actually died for what he believed in, even when others tried to tell him he was wrong. There's a lot of other things I could mention, but at the end of the day, the question is, what are black people in my age group ready to do? We were ready to go about Black Lives Matter, but we've seen how that was a white liberal front by the way that they had actually overtook it and made it about black trans, black gays, black this and that, single mothers, nuclear family, all the stuff that it did. It was absolutely different than what Dr. King and the rest of them had fought for. And before we can actually talk about we want something for black people, we have to do it like my brother. My brother Leonard, shout out to Leonard, asked a very good question. When it comes to black people, what do we actually want? As a matter of fact, I would like my brother to come on. Guys, give me a second. Um, Well, I think he's probably busy right now. I don't want to really bother him. But at the end of the day, I want black people to see. This is exhausting that I do these shows, and I would like black people to come up and give their, especially my age group, since they have so much to say with no facts, at least be able to stand and defend your position. If you can't defend your position, you need to shut up and let those that went through it be able to tell us something and stop thinking we can tell everybody else something. I'm somebody that I wasn't there, but I had grandfathers, uncles, and a father who been through it, so I know the difference and I know what it's about. Okay, I'm gonna try to get in touch with my brother. If not, then I'll go ahead and bring the show to a close. But I would like people to say before you try to talk about what these brothers and sisters did back in the day wasn't effective, make sure you actually know what you're talking about. Okay, I'm gonna let them play a little bit longer. Then I'm gonna go ahead and shut it down if anybody else isn't coming up. Thank you guys so much for the ones that did tune in. Shout out to Devin. Appreciate you for coming on, sir, or watching the show. I was hoping more people would come on. Let's do it. Let's just go ahead. Let's go ahead. Let's go ahead. Let's do it. Let's do it.
Oh yeah, white
Because
trash. Yeah.
while you do have at the master level,
Yeah.
they're making economic decisions. Certainly they are. But at your lower, more microscopic levels,
Exactly.
they're also the most populous people. They making decisions about guns and God and racism.
Yeah.
So
Exactly.
you can't just conflate
They're
what
doing it.
decision is
They,
necessarily
they're,
being
they're
made
doing.
by Bill Gates with what's being made by
They,
Billy Bob.
hey, you know, Uru, they just made a non economical decision. You know, at the base level, it's called Roe v. Wade. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
that was to save
Yeah.
the white race. That has nothing to
Yes.
do with money.
Yes. They willing to pay to save the white race.
See,
Yes.
I think Roger's talking about the executive government level, like the
Yes.
elite.
But you can't
Yeah,
equate.
but it wouldn't
But
even
you
matter
made a
what
good
That
point,
one it
level.
Uru.
is.
Look, when Kennedy
That wouldn't even make a
sent the
difference.
National Guard down to Alabama so that Negroes can go to the University of Alabama.
Mhm.
The governor of Alabama, I forget his name, he didn't want any Negroes in the University of Alabama.
No,
Yep.
he's still
But
on the
the
staff.
president
What they
wanted
saying at
Negroes
a
in the
ground
University of
level,
Alabama. Those are
they're
two
going to
white
a
men.
base.
Those were two white men with very different agendas.
Yeah.
Okay,
It's
but
not, but they're doing it for economic
Well,
reasons. They're doing it for
let
guys,
Roger read the super chat.
I gotta
Roger
get
read
these
the
super
super chat.
chats in. Yeah, I gotta get these super chats in.
yeah, they're doing it for race, not for
Or
money.
Zab.
Yeah.
Control yourself.
Shout out Jay Daniels. Thank you very much, my brother. Thank you very much. He says black society was more economically powerful before the civil rights movement. Black society was circulating our money amongst ourselves. Wall
Where?
Street.
Black Wall Street had 8,000 people surrounded by 40,000 white folks. Come on, stop the cap and sitting on a pool of oil. Stop.
And if they were truly more economically potent, if you will, then they probably could have been better able to protect themselves from the onslaught.
That might have been the only downfall is that they couldn't protect it. Do you think he's referencing
You know,
all the
how
other communities
powerful
in
you
addition
are,
to
how
white folks?
economically powerful you are if you can't protect yourself.
Exactly. Yeah, you're right.
You're in the military, sir. You know
Yeah,
how that
absolutely.
is.
You're right. You can't if you can't protect it, then you don't have it.
Right. And shout out to Donald Wayne Carroll. Thank you very much, my brother. He said, thanks, BGS Idmore. Now, he sent this in a while ago when BGS first came up. So, he got BGS back. Black Wealth and Power says, let's not forget the brothers of Alpha Phi Alpha who were bailing MLK out of jail constantly. Also, lawyers who were also frat brothers of A Phi A also defended in court for free on multiple occasions. And yeah, that just shows that black people were working together to help each other. And my thing is, I'm not against the narrative that black people were helping each other. All I'm saying was when they finally gave black folks civil rights, I believe it made that from economic position because everything that they've done as far as the powers that be, they've been about money the whole time.
How else were
I
you
believe
gonna?
no. I believe they had no choice. I believe they wanted to. They didn't want
They
to
had a
see the
choice.
water break out.
They had a choice.
Yeah,
That's a
there's
choice.
always a choice.
Let me ask you,
Nah,
Zab.
like,
Let me ask you.
that goes to what I was saying.
Zab,
They're lying about our numbers.
let me ask you, Zab. In 1945, how many people did Germany, the white Germans, and Hitler kill?
I believe they said around 6 million.
Yeah, it was
No,
over 16.
no.
It's way more than that.
Try 80 million.
Yeah, way
They
more than
killed 30 million Russians by themselves.
Okay, guys, thank you so much. I don't think too many people are interested in coming on today, but that's okay. God bless you all. I'm coming to an end, but I just like to end this right here. Before us as blacks try to talk about what the black people before us didn't do and what they should have done and what it was and was it, understand it was two different situations, two different eras, two different timelines with two different problems with two different types of white people. They may be white racist whites today, but they were nothing like the racist whites before. I think before we try to talk about what others didn't do, I just think we should probably concentrate on what we actually can do in today's society. All right. Anyway, this is JB representing JB. Oh, tomorrow I'll be doing this again in part 3. I should have my Uncle Robert come on. He fought in Vietnam. He's a uncle of mine. Love him very much. He'll be on. You guys have a great day. It's JB9 Deuce representing JB Speakeasy, the black platform where black men speak freely. I am your host, JB9 Deuce. I'd be disappointed because some of these shows I'd be hoping black people that I had these discussions with would come in and have the conversation that they always talk amongst each other. We're hoping we could all talk of black people, but It is what it is, y'all. This is JB9 News, represent JB Speakeasy, the Black Platform, Black Men Speak Philly. God bless, love you all, and love my people, and just be blessed in Jesus' name.